the retreat process is kind of like a romantic vacation. It's we day in and day out, we're with our significant others, and we are having our, we're task oriented, and we've got time frames and all this good stuff. But when we're coming on retreat together, it's just having this wonderful romantic vacation, whereby we are able to actually lean into deeper conversations with one another, deeper topics of discussion. And as I said before, something about these soft transition times. It's kind of like the moments or the little blips of time that we have that between the sessions themselves, where we find an enormous amount of creativity and information that we would never have called upon otherwise. I actually got the best business advice ever from a friend in a taxi. This was a forum mate. I'd been in forum with him for 21 years, and it was something I'd never heard from him before, because we were just in a taxi in a random situation, and the shared experience that he gave me was it turned into such great advice for my business. So that's what I would suggest that retreats are really sensational for. I think that the biggest problem that we have when we go on retreat is that we think of them as a vacation. They're our version of a romantic vacation. They're not the standard issue version of a romantic vacation, or any sort of a vacation, because it's heavy lifting. But what a retreat that's really well balanced can provide is truly a transformational experience. Very often we'll say, before our 21 retreat and after our 21 retreat, as if that retreat was a benchmark, because it changed the way we operate so incredibly that everything afterwards, it was this newly transformed version of ourselves in forum. So I just want to say that I think that this business that you bring up, with in terms of how incredibly important it is to do work during retreat, which actually turns into an incredible amount of information and transformation, is exactly what's called for. And then it feeds us. It is exhausting, right? But it feeds our souls, it feeds our minds, feeds our hearts in the process. So what does it take to have a truly balanced retreat environment? I would suggest that it's got a little bit of everything. We want to have an incredible, range of content, and that range of content is based on objectives that we set out. So let's not just kind of enter into these things blindly, right? We actually want to think about this. So what are our objectives? What have we been talking about continuously? So if we think about what we've been talking about in our meetings and what we'd like to dig into more deeply, that is what's going to sort of start the groundswell in terms of what we're doing in forum. So is our objective to bond because we don't know one another? Perhaps. Is it to dig into themes and concepts? Maybe it's mindfulness, maybe it's health and wellness, maybe it's aging parents, maybe just topics that keep getting brought up but we just don't have time for. And actually what I do very often is I will use the retreat to launch a theme, an ongoing theme that we can then carry on through the course of the year together. So I like to do those retreats at the beginning of our calendar year. And so we can actually set up, from meeting to meeting, how we want to engage in this. So I guess, there's a lot to be said about this, but I'm more interested in what you are all interested in. So can we open that up for discussion? So what is it that, when you hear the term retreat, what is it that occurs to you? What is that definition?
Alison, I'll just request you to clarify on this. Most retreats within whatever organizations are operating right now are being done without a retreat coach. I want you to explain to our members, because DLC has mandated within its forum constitutions major and minor retreats both to be conducted only with a retreat coach, never to do a retreat without a coach. Could you elaborate to them as to what role does a retreat coach play? Because in their minds, retreat is a 2-day holiday or a 3-day holiday. We are dining at that Michelin star. We are going here, we are going sightseeing, we are going to this nightclub, we are going to a gentleman's club, so on and so forth. But when it comes to coach, sadly, you'll be surprised if I tell you that 9 out of 10 retreats do not have a retreat coach right now. And that's the thing that I've been trying to change. And so if you can elaborate, what role does a retreat coach really play at a retreat?
The role that we play is actually happens quite a bit before the retreat, right? So I do a huge amount of research. I dig into what every single person, so I do one-on-one sessions with each person. So I do mini coaching sessions with each individual so that I can take the pulse of what's going on with each member. Now that's something that cannot happen internally, right? So I'm doing all of my research and development work prior to the retreat itself so that I know exactly where we want to go. I ascertain all of the objectives, and of course these are collective objectives, because it's not any one person that's leading this. Unlike, a CEO bringing their executive team on retreat, in Forum we're all equal. So it is about hitting our collective objectives and making and ensuring that every voice is heard from, right? So that we can deliver the highest amount of value. I notice that when folks do this on their own, what happens is that one or two will kind of drive the agenda for the rest, and therefore it becomes less than valuable. What we do is we ensure that there's value for everyone in this process, and of course, as a neutral outside party, we're able to see things that you cannot see from the inside looking out. So I would suggest that is really the key here. I organize everything, from start to finish. I help them develop, some downtime, because I do think downtime is important, but I want it to be agendized, right? I don't want to just have this be random. I want to think about the only thing that we really have is time, and that's so precious to all of us, right? You have to say, can't get that hour back, right? I'm constantly saying that because this is such a commodity. And I think that what you're saying in all of this is that we are enabling the highest return on your investment, right? As opposed to just going and doing dinners. You can do dinners anywhere. So I think that's really the key.
Thank you, Alison. I think that explains it, and I wish we can make this video reach out to a far larger cross-section of the forum community who consume the world of forums and are members in forums for years and years, but do not believe in value enough to carry a retreat coach. I think completely opposite, and hence we mandated within DLC to make it compulsory to have a retreat coach for every retreat. But we've had a wonderful session with you, understanding the world of retreats, and I really appreciate out of everybody a retreat coach and the amount of homework that you'll be doing, understanding on a one-on-one meeting with each forum member. Rarely we get a chance for us to have consultants who evaluate our roles, and also to make a retreat so significant in your life that it becomes a game changer, where you come back and say before 21, after 21 retreat, or before 22 and after 22, because retreat is like a milestone, and at the retreat you really get time to think, change, reflect, and come back rejuvenated to give your best to the world, be it your family, be it your business, or be it your co-forum members.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alison, for being with us. It was a lovely session. Can we hear a round of applause for Alison?